Are you guys ready for some honest reviews? I have been putting the new Dior blushes and a few other exciting makeup launches through the test, and I have got a lot to say. Hi, my name is Salima. In this video, I am sharing swatches, comparisons, and my honest feedback on everything that has landed on my vanity. I'm also super excited because I have got some very special new perfumes that I'm ready to spill the tea on. So, let's get started. Let's start with the new Dior Soft Filter Whipped Liquid Blushes. The packaging alone is 10 out of 10. It comes in a heavy duty, frosted glass bottle with a chunky doe foot applicator. What drew me in about this launch and why I was so excited to get my hands on them was the color range. I think Dior did an amazing job on the shades that they came out with. I grabbed three to start, and I don't think I will stop at three. I will definitely be getting more. When I used this blush for the first time, I was kind of shocked. It almost comes out in these small, dry looking clumps, and I honestly thought that it had dried out and was going to be a patchy mess. But the minute I touch it and start to blend it, those little clumps instantly dissolve and melt into a seamless matte finish. It's a very soft focus effect that is almost too blurring for a completely natural look. It is so blurring that it looks like you're wearing makeup, which isn't a bad thing at all. It's just something to be aware of if you prefer a no makeup look. Personally, I don't mind it, but the blurring effect is pretty intense. Dior doesn't provide shade descriptions on their website, so I will try and describe them for you. Let's start with Petal. The shade Petal is a soft, warm toned pink. If you have fair to light skin tones, it will look like a rosy nude pink on you. And if you have medium to tan complexion like I do, it pulls a little more like a peachy nude, still very subtle and pretty. The shade Orchid is a beautiful rosy brown with a prominent clay tone to it. I am so happy with this shade because it not only adds a flush of color to my cheeks, but it also adds a subtle, natural contour. And lastly, the shade Lily. I'll be honest, I took a risk with this shade because I have a neutral leaning warm undertone, and this is a light, cool tone pink. I was a little concerned that it would look chalky or ashy on me, which can happen with these kinds of shades. But to my surprise, it worked. This blush doesn't have a very prominent white undertone, so it doesn't give you that sort of grayish cast. Instead, it just gives you a beautiful, fresh flush that still works even if you are not a cool tone person. In terms of the wear time, these blushes last on my dry skin for about 7 to 8 hours. At the end of the day, I noticed some fading, but I still had about 40 to 50% color left, so it didn't fade completely. They do have a soft, classic Dior scent that they put in almost all of their makeup, but it's not strong at all, so I barely notice it. Overall, I'm very happy with this purchase. Now, I want to provide you with some quick comparisons. If you guys remember, I recently showed you the new Too Faced Whipped Blush. In terms of concept, this blush is pretty similar to the Dior. It has that same matte finish and a smooth blurring effect on my cheeks as the Dior blushes. The only difference is how they come out of the tube. The Dior blush is a much thicker whipped cream. It is dense and feels almost a little clumpy at first. The Too Faced blush, on the other hand, is a little more liquidy and fluid. It is still a mousse, but it's a much runnier and softer mousse. So you get that same effect and similar wear time, but just a different texture experience. Also, since we are talking about Too Faced, it has a much stronger fragrance that lasts a couple of minutes compared to the Dior. Another very similar texture and performance to the Dior blushes is the Fui Pudding Pods. You get that same longevity and soft focus effect, but in a completely different packaging. It comes in a pod, so you need to either use your fingers or the brush that Fui sells separately to apply it. Fui has so many shade options that I am almost certain you will find whatever shade you're looking for in that line. I also wanted to compare it to the YSL liquid blushes, which are marketed as a creamy liquid to powder formula that is supposed to melt into the skin for a blurring, soft focus finish. However, these blushes don't have that same whipped, creamy texture as the Dior. They are a true liquid blush that sets down to a natural finish on the skin. I can see that smoothing effect on my cheeks, but it is not as prominent as a Dior. So, in my opinion, if you are into a more natural, skin like makeup, these YSL blushes will suit your style better. Lastly, I will also compare these to the Chanel Cream to Powder blushes as well as the Rare Beauty Soft Pinch Matte blushes. Both of these blushes provide an airbrush effect on the cheeks. The Chanel Cream to Powder formula is a lot more silky smooth with buildable color, while the Rare Beauty feels more like a true cream blush in the pan and packs a punch in terms of color. If you like the idea of Dior blushes, but they are a little too matte for your liking, you're going to enjoy the Chanel formula because it has a little more sheen to it compared to the Rare Beauty or Dior. I hope these comparisons were helpful and I haven't overwhelmed you with so many options. But I really wanted to provide a perspective so you can decide if these new Dior blushes are the ones for you. Next up, I have another new blush formula, the Ciele Powder Blushes with SPF 45. If you're familiar with the Ciele products, you know that all of their makeup comes with sun protection and they use mineral filters in their formula, so even if you have sensitive skin, you will be able to enjoy this. As much as I love almost everything that I've tried from Ciele, I don't rely on my makeup for sun protection, so I always pair it with a separate SPF. Based on the online photos, I was expecting these blushes to be super pigmented and rich. But in person, they're not as intimidating or saturated as they look. I would actually say that they provide a soft wash of color. They're somewhat buildable, so you can definitely layer them to get a more noticeable color. But I don't think you will ever be able to achieve a full blown statement look with them. They're simply meant to give a subtle flush, not a bold pop of color. This blush has a subtle luminosity on the skin, but without any glitter or shimmer, so it looks incredibly natural. It doesn't cling to dry patches, and it lasted all day without any noticeable fading. To me, this is the perfect everyday blush. It's something I can use when I'm in a rush because it's almost impossible to mess up. If there's a specific shade that you are interested in, but you feel intimidated by, I would suggest trying it in this formula because it is so beginner friendly. It is also fragrance free, and I haven't noticed any fallout. Overall, I think this is another beautiful product from Ciel. For comparison, the first blush that came to my mind is the Ilia Soft Focus Blurring Blush. While I much prefer the packaging on the Ciel blushes, the formulas are very comparable. Ilia has that same luminous finish on the skin and wears well throughout the day. The difference is the pigment. The Ilia blushes are moderately pigmented, so you can use them with a light hand for a diffuse wash of color, or you can easily build them up to get a statement look, something you cannot do with the CL blushes. Another powder blush that is very similar is the newly reformulated Dior Rosy Glow blushes, specifically the non shimmer shades. The Rosy Glow blush line from the Dior provides that same light wash of color and luminous finish on the skin as the CL blushes. The choice between these two really comes down to what shade you like and how much you're willing to spend. And the last blush I will show you are the Say Super Sweet Radiant Powder Blushes. Unlike CL, these have a baked formula. To be honest with you guys, these are not my favorite. If you like your blushes to be super pigmented, these are the ones for you. What I don't like about them is the amount of fallout and the shimmer particles. If you accidentally apply too much, it gets very difficult to blend out the shade, and the shimmer just seems to get stuck on my skin. Next, I have the Dior Forever Nude Matte Filter Compact Powder. The packaging is just as beautiful as the bronzers that launched a few months ago. The compact has that same signature quilted design in a light cream color, and when you open it up, the powder inside is also embossed with the same beautiful pattern. It is truly a piece that looks and feels like a luxury item, and it comes with a mirror too, which is super convenient. Dior markets this powder to have a luminous matte finish, which essentially means that it has a soft matte finish. I bought it in shade 02 light because I mostly use powder under my eyes and on my T-zone. So this shade adds a perfect brightening effect on the skin. My actual skin tone shade match would be 03 medium. I was instantly impressed. It is a very finely milled powder, so I get a beautiful blurring effect on my skin without any powder sitting on top. It blends out effortlessly. As someone with dry skin, I wore it to set my concealer and control some shine on my T zone. And it did a fantastic job at keeping my skin looking smooth and shine free throughout the day. It never emphasized my pores or texture, which is a big win. I'm not sure how oil controlling this would be for someone with oily skin, so if you have tried it, let me know your experience in the comments. Overall, I think I have found my new favorite press powder. I still love my Givenchy press powder, but I find that the Dior is a little more matte on the skin, which makes it better for the summer months. Both powders have a scent, but it doesn't linger on my skin, which is awesome. I think if you're looking for a blurring and smoothing powder with a soft matte finish, go with the Dior. But if you want a blurring effect with a natural finish and some color correcting benefits, you will love the Givenchy powder. All right, now let's talk about some fragrances. I was most excited to try this first one, the Phlur Smith Hair and Body Fragrance Mist. You guys might know I absolutely love apple notes in my perfume. The first one I ever tried was the DKNY Be Delicious, which unfortunately doesn't last for more than an hour on my skin. I had a similar experience with Zara Apple Juice. When it comes to longevity, my benchmark for apple based perfumes is the Killian Forbidden Games. It's one of my all time favorites, but sadly, it's been discontinued, which is why I don't talk about it often. Mrs. Smith is a very different kind of apple scent. This is a playful, bubbly take on an apple. It's not a fresh, crisp, or green apple. This is a much more sweet, candied apple, like sugar coated apple slices that you find at a carnival. This bold apple note is blended with a watermelon note that adds a bright, juicy touch to this scent profile. Because of this specific sweet and fruity profile, this is the kind of fragrance that I would absolutely love to wear on my hair. It gives that perfect, just came out of the shower vibe and makes your hair smell incredibly good. It truly is a shampoo like apple scent, and that's why I only enjoy it on my hair and not on my body. On my hair, it lasts for a good 5 to 6 hours, which is amazing. Next, I have another shampoo like scent that I've tried recently, the Irresistible by Givenchy. I got it as a gift with purchase with one of my Givenchy orders. To me, this smells like an expensive feminine shampoo. It has a very beautiful, juicy pear note at the top, which gives it that fruity feel. But it's mixed with soft musk that provides a very elegant and clean quality. I can also smell rose in it, but it is a soapy rose, and that's why this combination of fruity, floral, and clean notes creates that expensive shampoo vibe. Because it's so inoffensive and light, I honestly thought it didn't last more than 2 hours on my skin. But the other day, somebody at the subway station asked me what perfume I was wearing, and I was so surprised. It was a great feeling to know that it was still projecting. This is a scent that I not only love to wear on my hair, but also on my body as my everyday perfume. It's that perfect fragrance when you simply want to smell clean and pretty. Next, I also purchased the Rare Beauty perfume. I got the travel size set, which comes with a 10 ml spray bottle and a 5 ml roller ball. I think it's a great way to try the fragrance, and it is so convenient to carry around in bag for touch ups. This is a very warm, cozy, and comforting scent. It's not the most unique fragrance I've ever smelled, and that's actually a good thing. I think it's a kind of fragrance that will be universally loved because it has a sweet, gourmand vanilla base, but it's not the kind of scent that's going to give you a toothache. It has a blend of ginger and pepper that prevents it from being sickly sweet. The spices give the fragrance a subtle, warm kick that cuts through the sweetness and makes it feel cozy and inviting. I personally don't get any of that nutty pistachio note in this. I read some reviews that suggested it is comparable to Burberry Goddess, and since I have that in my collection, I can confirm it's true. The two have very similar DNA, but in my experience, Rare Beauty is a softer version of Burberry Goddess and doesn't have the same longevity on my skin. Even so, I think that the Rare Beauty perfume is beautiful. It isn't a complex, boundary pushing scent, and honestly, that's what makes it so great. It's a crowd pleaser that's perfect for gifting or a blind buy because it's the kind of scent that you would wear while curled up on a couch with a good book and a soft blanket. Next up, I also tried the Dior J'adore L'Or Essence perfume. I have a deep love for the original Dior J'adore. My bottle is at least 9 years old and holds so many good memories, which is why I have an incredibly high bar for any of its flankers. To me, the original is a timeless, elegant, and soapy floral, a classic scent that just makes me feel put together. Sadly, this Lior essence is not a flanker that I'm completely obsessed with. While it still has that clean, floral DNA of the original, but on my skin, this perfume is too sharp. It's an almost squeaky clean scent that lacks the soft, timeless elegance of the original. To my nose, the original J'adore is a soft, seamless blend. Lior Essence is much more intense and crystalline. The floral note feels incredibly bright and crisp, almost as if they were stripped down to their most concentrated form. It's the difference between my favorite soft t shirt and a freshly starched white button up. Both are clean, but one is soft and lived in, while the other one is immaculate, sharp, and structured, if you know what I mean. That wraps up today's video. Let me know in the comments if you have tried any of these products or if you're planning on buying them. If you found these comparisons helpful, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss out any of my next videos. I hope you all stay happy, healthy, and safe wherever you are in the world, and I will see you in my next one. Bye for now.